Great good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful but a little rainy Tuesday, June 10, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he. Broadcasting from the United States of America, even though Los Angeles is trying not to be part of it. It's the place for the brave. Like the veterans we salute today, thanks to John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality and his other great companies. They've made us and kept us free. People like Joseph Tarowski, Waymart, Andy Sessa, Scranton, George Carpenter, Glenburn, Jack Doyle, Moscow, James Yazwiak, Plains Township, and Chuck Wagner, Bloomsburg. The United States of America, founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our amazing, incredible, irreplaceable founding fathers. That government is not, shall not be, cannot be our parent, our guide, our direction, our salvation. Not any of these things, but is nothing more than a necessary evil we require to organize and protect society. The United States of America, the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. Freedom was not to be parceled out to groups. It was not to be controlled by government or government officials. Our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press. If they use it to lie, so what? We can figure it out, I promise. Now, armed with these freedoms, and only because we have them, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, rejects and their progeny, created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro Show, well, it will always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so we gavel to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you a sanctuary of sanity for the balance of this morning. And we love it. So we start off with Sly and the Family Stone. And my man Mark Mayer heartily agrees. He passed away. And I said, we got to give him a whole song. And I was sort of waiting to see what the morning show was going to play because I didn't want to copy it because they've got great music, much to pick up from. Murph had picked Everyday People. Somebody texted, LTS, Bobby, did you know that Sly and the Family Stone played at the Palace Park in Hunlock Creek back in the early 70s? I remember being introduced to who Sly and the Family Stone were by the drummer from Ralph by the name of Buddy Mecca. So I'm hanging around the house, and at his house, and he says, "You got to listen to this." And he had speakers that were not huge loudspeakers, but whatever passed for incredible quality in the early 70s. And I was a Sly and the Family Stone guy forever after that. And so we lost him. But I always say when someone of that nature passes away, think of it's just an incredible legacy that we'll be playing his music for the rest of our lives. So God bless. And of course, we love to play. He's a new guy, and I find him on Instagram, and it's just so good that I have to play him, and we've got to give him acknowledgement. It's Wes Austin, He's a lawyer. He's a comedian. And I've talked to you about this outrage before, just to show you how phony they are. From Greta Thunberg to John Kerry to the Democrat Party, this whole scam, AOC, all of them. Not one peep about clear-cutting the Amazon so that these idiots can fly in private jets, but they couldn't get the airport close enough, so they clear-cut miles and miles of the Amazon forest for a highway specially built for the climate activists to drive to their event. COP, they call it. These people are insane. Don't confuse yourself or think, well, maybe they're... No. When I say to you that to be a left-wing lunatic, to be a consistent Democrat voter, to be a lefty in Europe or wherever, you have to be, well, basically you have to be insane because you have to ignore your own lies. You have to lie. There's no way around it. And you have to be a hypocrite. And they prove it over and over again. There is no option other than lying and hypocrisy. And the vast majority of these same people, because they're not on a normal plane of reality, they're not on ours, and there is only one, by the way. So they're on this ridiculous alternate reality, and so they have to they're incapable of doing their jobs well. Whatever they do, unless it is self-aggrandizing themselves, they can't do it well, period. So it's just so highly annoying. Greta Thunberg sailed to Gaza with food for the starving. Unfortunately, she and her crew ate 2/3 of it on the way over. She was stopped by the Israelis with a tiny amount. Meanwhile, the planet's savior polluted the ocean all the way across unless she has an extra long sewer pipe. I'm saying they're insane. There's no explanation for them. Gosh. Bob, explain, please. ICE raided the business across the street from my shop in Exeter. The owner claimed he didn't know they were illegals. How? Did they have Social Security numbers? Of course they did. The Biden administration gave them out like they were candy. And then Governor Shapiro giving out driver's licenses. Body Shop guy says, when I hire someone, I need info for workman's comp and payroll taxes. I guaranteed they've got the info. It was a conspiracy between the federal and Pennsylvania government to get the illegals in here, to embed them. Of course, hopefully you liked a little Reagan humor as well. Somebody said, good morning and greetings, Bob, ALTS. Always love the show. Back at you. I read where John Kerry was over in France to watch the French Open. I don't think he took an air balloon to get there. I know. Again, liar and hypocrite. You have to be to support the left and their lunatic agenda. And by the way, the same people, these are the people... I don't care if you have a private jet. I don't care if you could afford a yacht, a mega yacht. But don't tell my neighbor that he can't have his own gas-powered car to drive down to Knoebels. Please don't say that. Or go to Naog. Well, it's hard to go to Naog with our current mayor. There's just piles of dirt all over the place. But you get the picture. They're always telling you what to do and doing the opposite. How many decades have they been telling us how precious the Amazon forest is? So you can't even make it up. And by the way, they're this way on every issue. Doesn't matter if it's illegal immigration. Doesn't matter what it is. This is the way they are. And this is who owns the Democrat Party. And that's who you're voting for if you vote Democrat. Insane people. They clear cut for miles and miles the Amazon forest so they could drive to a climate conference. You can't make that up. Can that be made up? That's Babylon B. It can't be. Literally can't be. My Club for Common Sense guys, T. Bell, he texting, Chris Coons, this is the idiot, liar, phony, disgrace senator of Delaware. He was just on MSNBC calling Los Angeles a peaceful vigil. I mean, really? John Fetterman is the only one who's showing any shame at the national level, at the idiocy of his political party. Talking about the violence that the left continues to foment and cause. Yeah. All right. We have to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll return. A little, well, first we got to hear from our great sponsors. Then a little history, a little music, and then back to you. You could reach me by text or to call 570-883-0098. Now, I'm sure that was a big deal in 1964. But, I mean, I'd never heard that song out of the Stones. This date, 1964, they recorded their album 12 by 5, Murph says, at Chess Studios, Chicago. Around and Around. That was the first song on the album. And 1692, we went that far back. The first execution resulting from the Salem witch trials in Massachusetts. Bridget Bishop is hanged. You see this, and I got to tell you, for the most part, Christians have overcome this. But religion has been used for utter insanity for as long as we've been around, meaning human beings. This is why I fear and loathe the Islamists, because they're using a beautiful religion to perverting it to their own scary ends. And that is to dominate other people. It has nothing to do with God. You think these Salem witch trials had anything to do with God? Religion in the wrong hands is scary. Really is. Bob LDS, please tell me the story you mentioned about Greta Thunberg is a joke. I'm still laughing about it 10 minutes after you mentioned it. No, this is who these people are. Do you know Greta Thunberg and her parents are wealthy? Now. I don't know if they were before. They are now, baby. Somebody else texting the left. Emotion over intellect. Feeling over logic. Complain while offering no solutions. Criticize with no new ideas. Oh, and no matter what, blame Trump. Yep. Somebody says, hey, Bob, the morning show sounds like CNN anymore. Well, they're watching CNN. I'd promptly take it off. Joe from Trips Park. Imagine John Fetterman being your party's brightest. I know. I mean, he's a dope. He's an Arrested Development dope. And I got to tell, I always add this. Well, I don't always add it. But it's important to add, I like him. And I don't know if he drinks or not, but I'd have a beer with him. And I'm sure we'd have fun. But my God almighty, he's the voice of reason in your political party. You know you're a disaster. But remember, they're liars and hypocrites. They've got zero self-awareness. So, like, Greta Thunberg fake bringing food into Gaza. Like, and it's all performative, as they say. It's all an act, basically. They know they have food available to them. Hamas is keeping it from them. Hamas is stealing it so that they're in control. They don't want the Israelis giving food to the Gazans. They want to give it to them, and only what they want to give to them. These are sickening, evil people that asses are protesting for. Luciano from Luzerne County. Bulldog, where's the theme song? Wait, you got to wait, Luciano. He was ready. Bulldog was ready for you, Luciano. Well, most appropriate you call in today, Luciano. How are you?
Yeah, Bob, let me just tell you this, Bob. What I'm going to say is very disturbing, but is absolutely true. And you and me both know how insane and bizarre human beings can be, and how they can be hypocritical and smile at you while having a knife behind their back ready to stab you. I was listening to Mexican talk radio. I was watching the politicians in Mexico. This country is in grave, terrible situation. What I will say is what a lot of Latinos have said, and we are in great danger of saying this, but I don't care. See, what if I was in Mexico right now? They would, and they hear me talk. They would cut my head off. They instantly would cut women and men, Latinos like us. They would instantly kill us because we speak too much truth, and they don't want us. Let me just say this: what's happening in California is going to happen a domino effect to about 10 other liberal states, New York, Maryland.
Yep.
Obvious people, or Oregon, and the Mexican government is laughing at us. They have invaded this country. They are testing Donald Trump. This is an absolute testing of his presidency.
And they're Luciano, they're testing all of us. Do we have the stomach? Because as I was talking to Kurt Schlichter yesterday, who's out in L.A. and used to be in charge of the National Guard and all that, I said, here's the thing. They're hoping that we say, oh, we don't want this noise. And that stupid response, well, both parties are to blame. And then back off, Mr. Trump, like it's as if it's his fault. That's what they're going to try to do. So they're trying to get us to fall for it, too.
And you're fully aware that they want him to fall. There is about 10% or 5% of Republicans that despise Donald Trump, absolutely hate him with a passion. And by the way, California is bankrupt because of the major fires and the migrants. Migrants have caused, but California is bankrupt, basically bankrupt. They have nowhere to go, and they're trying to disguise it from the average American. I'm fully aware. Mexican Latinos like us, we're fully aware of this. I've been told that I shouldn't say things like that. I know Spanish women that know what's happening to California. It's going to happen to New York, and they're just watching.
There's actually a bigger thing going to happen to California when they've given free health care under Medi-Cal, which is just their version of Medicaid. Under Medi-Cal, free health care to all illegals, and they've welcomed the illegals simultaneously, and they're not going to get Medicaid anymore with the big, beautiful bill passing. They're going to a fiscal cliff.
That's why I say you're fool. You could care less what the people in power could say to you, because you've been through hell. I lived on Skid Row. Hello, listen out there, people out there. I lived in Los Angeles, downtown Los Angeles. Los Angeles has the highest homeless population in the nation, over 35,000. I lived on Skid Row. I lived amongst, and as a matter of fact, they cleaned out about 300 tents in downtown Broadway, downtown Skid Row in Los Angeles. I'm fully aware of the composition of Los Angeles. I'm fully aware of Compton. I've been to Compton. And
hey, by the way, Luciano, my friend Mark Mayer texted in. He said California has the largest Hispanic population in the U.S., including a significant number of Mexican Americans. In 2023, California's Hispanic population was estimated at over 15.76 million, accounting for 39.4% of the state's total population. So
and only 1%. Forgive me for interrupting you.
Yeah.
Only 1% of migrants and illegals to work in agriculture because of the way it's been.
And they're allowed to work. They're allowed to come in and do this.
Bob,
that's the other lie they
They're
tell.
allowed to vote. New York is second in population of Latinos. And like I said, there's about 10 states that are observant. And Tom Holden, that brother is so courageous. And Donald Trump, I met two prisoners, ex-prisoners. They have a lot of respect for Donald Trump because he's been through hell. And they call him, he's not a punk. I'll leave it at that, Bob. Take care, brother.
Always a pleasure, my man.
Thank you,
Luciano.
Thank you, brother.
We're not playing a theme song on the way out there, Bulldog? Or what's the thought? I don't know. All right, here it comes. We got to play Ice, Ice, Baby for Luciano. He picked that theme song. It took me a minute, and then I just started laughing. So he's a Bob LTS every day. I still laugh about little Greta standing there with her hands on her hips telling Donald Trump, how dare you? I'm sure he was laughing also. Yeah, it's nuts. It's a little crazy woman. And, yeah, they're driving, because they had to take a sailboat, they could only fit so much food. Well, they were eating it on the way. Somebody said the Israelis should have let her in. She would have gotten killed. she would have gotten killed. And the Israelis knew they were going to take the blame, so they couldn't let her in. You can't bring food to the Gazans. Hamas will kill you. There's a Bob, even after having the segment with Kurt Schlichter, which was eye-opening, mainstream news makes it sound like L.A. is burning down. Well, remember, part of that is like Fox is doing it too. I lived in L.A. Like, it is big. It ain't Manhattan. And even Manhattan, if something's happening in the lower Manhattan, you don't know it in Midtown. So it is isolated, but it's savage. The listener concludes, also, they wave the Mexican flag. Well, if they're so loyal to Mexico, leave and live there. You're right. They're fools. Time for a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We will come back, and we've got a Veterans Tribute, as we always do at the bottom of the hour. Our veterans this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you by John Basiliga and his great companies. Eastern Roofing Systems, based in Jessup, one of the largest commercial, industrial, and institutional roofers in the eastern United States and beyond. Guess what? They'll take that expertise and bring it to your home. They do both. They do it all. Eastern Roofing Systems. Joseph Tarowski. He was 76 when he passed April 10th. He was from Waymart. Graduate of the Lake Consolidated School, a United States Army veteran. He served us in Germany. Fisher, hunter. He loved to visit a local tavern to play shuffleboard, cards with his pals. His son, Joseph, survives him. He lives in Equinunk. His twin sister, Peggy Field, and her husband, Walter, also survive, and many other family members. Joseph Tarowski. Andrew Andy Sessa of Scranton. He was but 78 when he passed April 10th. His wife of 43 years is the former Mary Ann Kazaza. Born in Brooklyn, New York. Educated in Brooklyn schools. He proudly served us in the United States Coast Guard. Prior to retirement, he was employed as a bus driver for over 25 years for the New York City Transit Authority. Member of the AARP local chapter for over 20 years, as well as board member at Summit Point where he lived. He loved classic cars and traveling the country. Brother, sister-in-law, other family members survive him, in addition to his wife, Mary Ann. Andy Sessa. Our great veterans this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and all of his companies, including Eastern Roofing Systems. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from our man, meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, morning clouds and showers, breaks the sun this afternoon. Chance of a passing shower, but he called it a good afternoon. It'll be about 78, just 66 outside the studio as I speak. Tonight, partly cloudy and cooler, down to 58. Wednesday, sunny, high near 80. Thursday, sunny, high near 83. So I think it was it 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning? You know, I love the windows open and listen to the rain. So Chauncey, the bull mastiff, is getting scared by the thunder. Now, they've got extra, this is why it was explained to me, the dogs have extra sensitive hearing. Well, at the top of 1 hour, it might have been 2:55, something like that, there was a thunderclap right above the house. Now, you can tell how far they are roughly. You know, if it's 1 second, it's a mile. 2 seconds, it's a mile, because the sound takes longer to reach us than the sight, the light. This was right over the top of us. I mean, it was the noise and the lightning were simultaneous. Oh, Lord, the poor guy. That was a hard one. So Cutie's running around closing the windows. Like, Cutie, I want to listen to the rain. Well, she can't hear me because the thunderclap had been so loud. He's as if that's going to keep the sound of thunder above us out of the house. But man, it was a big one. Yeah, the poor dog. I felt sorry for Chansonnier. Anyway, this rain is getting crazy. I mean, this is something. And then I heard Joe talking about it on the morning news. It's gonna start again like this weekend. Couple of days, like starting this afternoon. So I said this yesterday, and I again, it's one of these things I wonder about more and more and more. Were they trying to seed the clouds, and they overdid it? I'm just asking. I don't know. And we've got a state senator. I saw a picture of him, and I'm forgetting his name. He proposed what Florida already has in place, that you can't be spraying into the atmosphere. Interesting. So many people deny it and say, you're crazy. When we get a month and a half of weather like this, I start to say, Somebody said, Bob, lightning can come through your window. Cutie did the right thing, dog or not. Well, I don't think it's going to come in and kill us in the bed. I mean, and then if it does, well, okay. You know. Do you mean closing the window will keep lightning out? I don't. Come on. Listen, I'm willing to learn, but Cutie always does the right thing. I'm not worried about that part of it. I just wanted to listen to the rain. Well, anyway. We have to take a break here. Bob Cordaro on WILK. A rainy morning, a rainy Tuesday, June 10th. Oh, but by the way, quickly, my man Bob C sent this to me. This is mostly speaking, the local media in Los Angeles talking about the riots. An ABC News reporter said, just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn. Yes! An anchor by the name of Mark Brown. And he states that the situation could be turned very volatile if you move law enforcement in there in the wrong way and turn what is just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn. Oh, I wonder who burned the cars. Oh, my God. They could turn it into a massive confrontation, altercation between officers and demonstrators. Well, what about the altercation of these idiots throwing cinder blocks at the cop cars? Man, these people are disgusting, actually. Another reporter, Tim Caputo, as smoke was rising behind him, he says the rioters are people taking videos, people waving flags, people walking around, people wanting to be part of the cause. Yeah, waving Mexican flags and burning American flags. As the broadcast showed aerial visions of cars on fire, Caputo directed his cameraman away from the rising smoke. He says, from what we've seen, the vast majority are people taking videos, waving. This is insane. They want their voices heard, Caputo continued. They want to show the power of numbers and the power of force. Oh, they're just great people. L.A. Mayor Karen Bass. You haven't seen massive violence take place. Your cops, the people you're in charge of, are getting hit with cinder blocks by these sickos. Kamala Harris, oh yeah, she had to step in there. The protests in Los Angeles, she called them overwhelmingly peaceful. And by the way, here she says, deploying the National Guard is a dangerous escalation. Oh, she said it was intended to provoke chaos. Wow. She said, in addition to that and recent ICE raids in Southern California and across the nation, it's part of the Trump administration's cruel, calculated agenda to spread panic and division. No, people attacking cops and closing down a major freeway in Los Angeles, well, that's not chaos. Oh, my God. You can't even believe how stupid they are. Kamala Harris. Could you imagine Kamala Harris being our president? These people they're insane, hypocritical liars. Zero self-awareness. Wow. Yeah, somebody said, well, it wasn't a reporter's car. What does he care? All right, we've got to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We want to hear the Bloomberg Money Minute in the midst of our break, and then we'll come back. It's, man, we need a sanctuary of sanity. These people are gone. They're shot. We'll take a break and be back. This date, 1967, Procol Harum had the #1 hit in the United Kingdom, Whiter Shade of Pale. Bob Cordaro back with you. T-Bell texts and he goes, here's my idea. Let's everyone on this text group travel to Mexico City next week to protest fentanyl pouring into the USA and killing hundreds of thousands of Americans. We'll start fires, smash windows, throw rocks at Mexican policemen's head and cars, scream at Mexican citizens, and wave the American flag. How do you think that will go? I mean, it's insane. It's insane. Oh, my gosh. I'm telling you. Doesn't that say it all? That says it all. Yeah, that'll really work out well. Oh, Lord. My man Timmy Mack sends in about a guy named Augustus DeRicco. And he's got a story on the history of weather modification, apropos of what we were talking about earlier. And I mentioned it to you specifically, the Vietnam War, actually on, what's his name, Sean Ryan's show. He said that this has been going on since World War II. I was familiar with the Vietnam War actions and experimentation in America in the 50s. But it goes back to World War II, trying to manipulate the weather. And you have to say to yourself, I mean, when you see a spate of it, thanks, Timmy Mack, you see a spate of this rain like this. I mean, it's not the rainy season in Vietnam. I mean, we don't see this. A month and a half, Joe Snedeker pointed out 13 Saturdays in a row of rain. Somebody texts in, according to the morning show, the LAPD had it under control. Yeah, do you mean when they were getting the cars bombed by cinder blocks from the overpass? But, I mean, you can't listen to insanity. Wow. I'm saying, and this is their line. I'm going to go back and continue. The 8 nuttiest things. We got through 3 of them. And then we mentioned Kamala Harris, this stupid idiot. Really stupid person. Now, another jewel. U.S. Representative Jayapal. She says, enough of these mass ICE raids who are seeping up, I'm guessing she meant sweeping, innocent people. Enough of undermining of due process. California Governor Newsom, another peach. Newsom says, the hell with this guy. Come after me. Arrest me. Let's just get it over with, tough guy. You know, I don't give a damn, but I care about my community. I care about this community. The hell are they doing? These guys need to grow up. They need to stop, and we need to push back. And I'm sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating is exhausting. So, Tom Homan, arrest me. Let's go. You caused this. Because they knew with you and Bass in charge, they could get away with it. Now they don't. Now they're questioning it. And by the way, the core of these protesters are paid goons. Paid by the left. Remember I told you about Churla? That's funded by the Democrat Party and Act Blue? Whoopi Goldberg. Oh, wow, another genius. Oh, a sunny hope. I don't even want to read what they say. It's just, they're so stupid you can't make it up. You can't make it up. Oh, Senator Chris Murphy, what a total jackass. He's a total jackass. I mean, my first message is keep it peaceful. I mean, obviously, this is a moment where we where we have to be on the streets all over the country to protest what's happening to our immigrant community. He left out the word illegal. But more broadly, to protest what's happening to our democracy. Wow. It is scary. These people are scary. And I mean it every time they say something, you know that the exact opposite is true. Oh, I went over. And it's time for the news. Time for the news with Brian Hughes. And we've got Patrick Simmons. He's the vice president of the National Right to Work Foundation. He's talking about what the lathering and theft of our tax money by government union heads. We're going to talk about that when we get back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Great good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful Tuesday, June 10th, year of our Lord 2025 here in the great Northeast. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he. It's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our man John Basiliga and his great companies, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we lost this year, but salute this day, including Andy Sessa, Scranton, Joseph Tarowski, Waymart, George Carpenter, Glenburn, Jack Doyle, Moscow, Jerry Yazwiak, Plains Township, and Chuck Wagner, Bloomsburg. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order after a brief news adjournment, this meeting of the Club for Common Sense. And what does the Club for Common Sense promise you? A sanctuary of sanity for the balance of the morning. That's what we'll give you. That's what we provide. You can enjoy it in a passive way. You could bathe in it. You could luxuriate in it. But the sanctuary is here for you when insane people, the Democrat left, the Democrat Party writ large, sadly, and media commentators are telling you the exact opposite of that, which is true. Whether it's Los Angeles or Donald Trump, Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler would go hug this woman, write her a personal note, and help her and her family out. Yeah. Absolutely ridiculous. Mountaintop listener checking in. Ginny C checking in. Well, Fox Business did a survey, and over 300 economists just signed a letter initiated by a great group called Unleash Prosperity. And it says, listen, if you don't continue the current tax rates, but these are not tax cuts, by the way. These are the tax rates that have been in place since 2018, just so you know when they lie. But if they don't go to these, it's going to be disastrous to the country, particularly working Americans, and costs writ large, because companies are going to pass those costs on. And joining us is Executive Director of Unleash Prosperity, Tim Desher. Welcome, Tim. How are you?
Well, hey, Bob. Thanks for having me. I'm doing great. And thanks so much for talking about this really cool letter that's pretty simple. You got to extend the Trump tax cuts or we are in deep, deep doo-doo.
What are the prospects now? I mean, the Senate's tinkering with the big, beautiful bill, so-called. Elon Musk carping about it from the sidelines, and others, and understandably so. But what are the prospects that the Senate will change it too much for Speaker Johnson to get the votes when it goes back to the House?
Well, it's funny, when the sausage is being made, it's never a pretty sight, but I will say I have seen sausage made, and it's interesting. And that's what DC is, it's reality television. And
I like the way you put that, because I've helped make sausage and observed sausage being made and super sot and all that, and I never thought it was ugly.
I guess it depends what your gag reflex is, but I'll say this. That what's going on right now is you got a lot of people who are really, really passionate about a lot of different things that are trying to be heard, trying to get all of their stuff in. And so what you got is a messy process that's going on right now. And I think what it's ultimately going to come to is understanding and realizing that there is a great win. We don't have that much time. This year is flying by.
Yeah.
And, pretty soon it's going to be half over. And next thing you know, 6 months later, Americans' taxes are going to be raised about $4 trillion. That's, to put it in real terms, it's about $2,000 to $3,000 a year per family just in a tax hike. So not only do you have inflation, not only do you have regulations from the Biden administration still hanging over that we're getting rid of thanks to the Trump administration, but you're going to have a tax increase, which is going to be devastating to the economy. So all of these economists got together and said, look, we're all for lowering the corporate tax rate if we can. We're all for permanent expensing if we can. We would love that. But most importantly, don't take your eye off the prize. If we don't extend this, it's big-time trouble.
So Senator Johnson he claims, aligned a group of senators against the bill that the House passed. Rand Paul is a hard no. You've got the two idiots, Murkowski and Collins, who will probably be a no. That puts you at 49. The vice president can't even get involved. That's assuming Johnson can't carry anybody with him. What are the main changes that more responsible people like Senator Johnson are looking for out of this bill?
Yeah, well, I think Senator Johnson is fully, while he drives a hard bargain, I think Senator Johnson understands the implications that are here. And I think that there's going to be a lot of talking here about how can we cut the waste, the fraud, and the abuse. I mean, look, this is not an unpopular thing, cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. I mean, it's like 80% of Americans all agree.
Until you try to do it, Mr. Desher.
Well, I'll say that, but that's what it takes. I mean, It takes the intestinal fortitude to do that. Now, I'll say this, that I think that there is a good wind to get those cuts, to say, hey, look, if we can't get it all now, we can do another bill later. I know that's been floated as well. The Speaker and Leader Thune have both voiced that possibility. So I do think that there's still ways that we can get those votes that we originally basically counted on. Senator Johnson was always somebody that we could count on. But I think that there's plenty of things that we can do, and I think that this thing actually will pass. It's just a matter of what the sausage-making process looks like after it's done.
Now, one of the dangers to the bill, although it's something that I agree with, is there are no senators from California. There are no senators from New York. There's no Republican senators from Illinois. And they may take the SALT deal, the state and local tax deduction, and knock it back from $40,000. It was originally 10. Then you lose the Republicans from California and New York State and Illinois, or potentially lose them when it goes back to the House. Is there any danger of that happening?
Well, sure, there's danger in that happening, but I also think that there's going to be we know what happened to pass the House bill is they all went to the cabinet room in the White House. President Trump came in and said, you're going to pass this bill, pass it. And so I think that there's some leadership to be done through 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue when the rubber hits the road. I also think that the SALT caucus got a honey sweetheart of a deal at $40,000.
Yeah.
That is an incredible deal. And so I think that there's definitely ways that they could cut back on that a little bit. And then just say, look, this is what the art of the deal is. You go high and you have to settle somewhere in between. So I do think that there can be a deal made, and I think all the posturing right now from the SALT caucus is similar to the posturing that's happening for the people on the right who are worried about spending. Let's get as much as we can. Let's do as best as we can, so then we can go say to our constituents that we fought the good fight. And so I think that may be maybe I'm being too optimistic here, but I think that when it all comes down, like we talked about at the very beginning, you don't want to be the one who's responsible for these tax cuts lapsing or making a terrible deal with the Democrats.
Well, groups like yours are holding it down on the conservative side of things. I just have been telling people, I know it's ugly what this bill has turned out to be. I know the spending's out of control. But one of the things that they're promising, and I don't know if I want to get your opinion on whether they'll deliver, is not only this latest Lilliputian rescission bill, but multiple rescission bills, like once a month, maybe even once a week, to cut back on spending to honor DOJ and its efforts.
Yeah, look, when it comes to Doge, I think that this has been one of the best possible things that has ever happened to America in modern history. I really believe it. I think when it's all said and done, we're going to be we're going to be looking back at this time being thankful that this thing by the largest followed person, the wealthiest person in the world, did something to change the way people look at the federal government and how much waste, fraud, and abuse exists out there. Now, we can, quibble over how much was found and, what that's going to look like being sent over in remittance packages and, is the House going to do this? We definitely need to act on it. But I don't ever remember there being such a more clear picture painted, Bob, as to what the fiscal insanity in Washington, D.C. looks like, simply because this billionaire who has 80 billion other things going on decided to give up 6 months of his life to do what he did. And so, look, there's a lot of politics there. But if we take a zoom out and look what we've done here, I think this is going to compound, and I think that we're going to have an incredible residual effect because of what started with Doge.
Tim Desher is our guest. He's the executive director of Unleash Prosperity. So you're sanguine about the overall prospects for the bill. Do you think they'll reach the July 4th self-proclaimed deadline of the president?
Well, like I said, Capitol Hill is the original reality television. C-SPAN is the original reality television, and if you watch it, it is about as crazy as Bravo would be. My wife loves watching Bravo. I can't really stand it, but I love watching C-SPAN, and she doesn't. So there you go. We both love reality television, and that's really all this comes down to, Bob, is what is it? What is the theatrics going to play out? How is it going to play out? How are the news reporting? How is that going to play out? And if July 4th is the day, they better get to work, because there's a lot of work left to do from what I'm hearing on the Hill to get everybody on it. We've talked about a lot of those dynamics already, but it's going to be a tall order to get this thing done by the 4th of July. But never forget this, if you want to be optimistic. Remember that Mike Johnson has delivered on some of the most important things in his short tenure of being Speaker of the House, and so I think that Johnson is in the corner there, kind of cracking that whip a little bit and saying we got to get moving here. So we'll see how it plays out. And
unlike Nancy Pelosi, he doesn't actually murder people.
That took a dark turn, didn't it, Bob?
I don't have the bodies, but I believe it to be true. Tim Desher, Executive Director of Unleash Prosperity, thanks for coming on the Bob Cordaro Show. We appreciate it. Keep us apprised. Keep us updated as to what's happening. You are correct. This is the underpinnings of the American economy. It has to happen. It has to happen.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Bob. Thanks for having me on. And if everybody wants to follow us day by day, go to unleashprosperity.com and sign up for our hotline. Steve Moore, the famous economist, Stephen Moore, Larry Kudlow, Art Laffer, and Steve Forbes, man. They're our co-founders, and they put a lot into this thing. So you can get it every day for free, unleashprosperity.com. Thanks for the plug, Bob. Appreciate that.
Oh, we love Unleash Prosperity. We love it. Love the group. I've met with a number of you, and particularly Steve Moore. We've had him on. Kudlow's met him a number of times as well. You got the people who are pushing this, including yourself, are the right people to listen to. So keep plugging, get it done.
Thanks, Bob.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Tim Desher, Executive Director, Unleash Prosperity. We'll take a break. We want to hear from our great sponsors, a little history, a little music, and then we'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. I think I told you this last week. I thought the song was called Some Girls, but no. Murph says the Turtles moved from number 14 to number 7. This date, 1967, with their hit She'd Rather Be With Me. And Alcoholics Anonymous founded Akron, Ohio. Dr. Robert Holbrook Smith and William Griffith Wilson. That's why I never drink too much too often, because then I'd have to quit. Anyway, June 10th, Mother Teresa, Saint Teresa. Try to put in the hearts of your children a love for home. Make them long to be with their families. So much sin could be avoided if only people really loved as a family. Profound, Mother Teresa, Saint Teresa. And thank you, Mary Regina, for sending that in. Let's go to Barbara from Courtdale. She has been patient. How are you, Barbara?
Oh, doing as best as I can.
Well, that's what we can get done. That's good.
Okay, I told you about the rain.
Yes.
This is going to continue. Tennessee is doing this. They are doing the same thing as Florida.
Yeah, you just start to wonder what's behind it. What are they doing? You hear all the theories, and we had a guest on the show who we're going to have again.
Get them on Zoom,
man,
because we need them.
I get nervous when we get this kind of weather, and there's also the potential that the weather is being manipulated. I don't like it.
Well, I'll tell you, this pattern is following the same pattern as Agnes.
You know,
that was in 72.
I was very young, but I do remember it was sort of a continuous rain, but
yes.
more so, not so much around here, but up in New York State.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it will continue. And the only one that's profiting from this is the sanitation department, because they're getting the rain tax.
Oh, the EPA, yeah.
Yeah, they're the only ones getting all of the good money from all this. And what are they doing with this money?
Wasting a good part of it, I guarantee it.
I'll tell you, they have gotten new equipment, wonderful, and it's not doing us any good. This is killing us. Your crops, the farmers can't even get out in the field to do anything.
And I've got to go out with Chauncey out in the rain.
Hey, I got 2 big dogs here.
Do they go out on their own?
Yes.
Oh, you got a fenced-in yard?
Yes.
Oh.
They're part Labrador and Newfoundland.
Well, good. We don't want anybody bothering you, Barbara.
Well, I'll tell you, we have to do something. I called Bob at Brezhnev, or however you say his name.
Bresnahan, our congressman. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, he's saying that they're trying to get rid of the rain tax. They're really trying. You know, Luzerne County sold us down the river. They took the big bribe and saying, well, we can't afford all of this because they have to pay the rain tax just like we do. So they took a big cut and they put it all onto us people. Now there's people out Harvey's Lake. They don't pay the rain tax. We do.
Yeah, it's a subject I don't really understand, Barbara, except I understand that it's crazy and it shouldn't be happening. That I understand.
It's not getting any better because on average I pay something like $333 a year for that bloody thing. Mm-hmm. And it's a shame. What are they doing with all that money?
That I said, the guaranteed they're wasting a good part of it. Guaranteed.
Now, there's one thing that they did do. They're doing, you know, that new school that they built for GAR at Myers?
The Wilkes-Barre area deal? Yeah.
Well, they just helped them do a wonderful, wonderful thing. And they saved the taxpayers a lot of money because they put a big, fancy drain in for them. Isn't that wonderful? We're paying for it. It's not getting any better.
So you're being sarcastic, right, Barbara?
You don't know how sarcastic I can get.
But I can guess. Barbara, we have to go because I've got a commercial break I got to hit, and we got to do the Veterans Tribute, but it's always a pleasure to hear from you.
Well, I'll tell you, like I said, we're going to have rain Saturday. We're going to have rain Sunday, and it's not going to be good. The river is rising.
Mm-hmm.
And if this keeps going like it is, New York State's going to get this, and we're going to have another Agnes.
By the way, Barbara, a number of people have texted in from Harvey's Lake. They say we do pay the rain tax.
Do? Well, then, good. I'm sorry to hear about that, but there's some, I think Lehman, they
we might have everybody from Lehman saying we pay it too.
But they didn't want to pay it.
About 20 people telling me that Harvey's Lake, that they pay the rate tax. They share as Bill Clinton would say, they share your pain.
But nobody's benefiting from it.
I know. It's crazy stuff.
And the only ones that are benefiting from this are the people that are running the state.
What do you get, Barbara, what do you get from government action? You get failure and unintended consequences. That's what you get.
They say go to your local council. They don't want to do nothing.
Well, it's federal now. It's federal now. But, Barbara, we have to go, my dear. Love you, and thank you for calling.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, bye-bye. We'll take this commercial break, hear from our great sponsors. We'll come back. We've got a Veterans Tribute for the bottom of the hour, and then we're going to come back, and we've got some calls we want to get to. We'll be back. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you by John Basiliga and yet another one of his great companies, Serenity Care. Serenity Care has 4 locations: Mid-Valley, Old Forge, Wyoming, Kingston. Completely renovated inside and out. All of these facilities, accepting new residents. The owner, John Basiliga, has a passion providing the highest quality senior care in the area. Whether it's you or a family member, Serenity Care. If someone is suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's. 2 of those facilities, Mid-Valley and Kingston, have dementia care units. George Carpenter, he passed away April 24th at age 89. I apologize. This just got printed. He passed away in 2021. A proud veteran of the U.S. Coast Guard, a retiree from the Great Erie Lackawanna Railroad, and a loving, devoted family man. His greatest accomplishment in life, besides receiving the Treasury Department's Silver Life-Saving Medal, was his family. He was predeceased by his wife, Dolores, and he's survived by his siblings, 2 children, 4 grandchildren, 6 great-grandchildren, and he was laid to rest beside his beloved wife of 47 years at Miller Cemetery in Glenburn. His family says, we love you and miss you every day. George Carpenter. Jack Doyle, he was 85 when we lost him January 28th. Born in Moscow, 1957, graduate of Holy Rosary High School, the Beads. That's in Scranton. Upon graduation, he enlisted in the U.S. Army, serving for 3 years, mostly at the Supreme Headquarters of the Allied Powers Europe, SHAPE. After the military, he was employed for many years by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania's Bureau of Employment Security Office in Scranton. That's where he retired from. But during a brief layoff from the state, he attended Lackawanna County Votech School, earned his certificate as a licensed practical nurse. He worked as an LPN at Laurel Hill Nursing Home, Allied Healthcare, Clark Summit State Hospital, and what is now known as the Elan Skilled Nursing and Rehab. He got his Bachelor of Arts degree in 1995. Jack loved to cook and travel. He also took a job when he moved to Florida as a peer agent for Holland America Cruise Line. Jack Doyle is survived by 2 daughters, 3 sons, 9 grandchildren, 1 great-grandson, 3 sisters, and 2 brothers. Jack Doyle, our great veterans this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and Serenity Care. Oh, that means the weather. Meteorologist Joe Snedeker tells us, today, morning clouds and showers, breaks of sun this afternoon. Chance of a passing shower, but it's supposed to be nice. 78. Tonight, partly cloudy and cooler, down to 58. Wednesday, sunny, high near 80. Thursday, sunny, high of 83. Back on the Bob Cordaro Show. And let's go to Rebecca Martino from Stately Pet Supply. Bulldog remembers. He won't write this down, but somehow he remembers all these theme songs.
That's just a genius thing that makes him so good at his job. I mean, really, it's impressive. It really is.
He's what we call a PETA, which stands for pain in the ass, but we love him. We love him. Yeah.
I was going to say, you don't mean pain in the ass, do you? But,
of course I do. He's very defiant. Hey, Rebecca. So last night, a thunderclap of monstrous proportions really drove Chauncey to distraction. It is true they have more sensitive hearing than we do by a magnitude, right?
Huge. Yeah, they probably hear thunder we haven't heard. And, that doesn't even say how loudly they're hearing the thunder you and I do hear, right? So it's also, we understand what it is. We know, no one's about to, come down and kill us and, everything is safe. It's fine. But dogs don't. So they can, there are actually calming treats that label themselves for fireworks and thunderstorms. And, now's the time to stock up on those things. By the way, not the day before the 4th of July, when if your dog's allergic to, or not allergic to, but reactive to loud noises and fireworks. But yeah. And
what can you do about that?
So calming treats are That's a great topic for today. If we ought to shift into that, I have so many ideas. You should see my desk. It's like this mad scientist paperwork of scribbles and nonsense. So I'm going to put my allergy one to the side, and I can shift into calming treats easily because, some dogs need it all the time. They don't like the mailman. They don't like going to the groomer. Or they're just by nature. A lot of small dogs are. So what you can do as calming treats, there are a couple branches. I might even give CBD its own branch because it's got this huge reputation for it. I will say, in my experience, CBD as a calming agent either hits the nail on the head or it does nothing. Mm-hmm. So if you try CBD, whether you're ordering it online or shopping with your local independent pet supply store in Clark Summit.
Like Stately Pet Supply, yeah.
Well, that's right.
That's where I would get
make
mine.
Sure you, Thank you. What we try to do is vet these companies for you. And what we absolutely offer, and so should anybody, a guarantee. If it does nothing for your dog and you found that, you know what, I invested $40 in this thing, or some very bougie brands can be upwards of, towards $100. And if it does nothing for your dog, make sure you can take it back. That's what we do. Bring it back. We give you your money back. Try something else. You're not stuck with it. That's huge in the industry, and that's the way it should be. So try CBD, or you can actually try other cocktails, I call them, of natural ingredients, whether they are ginger, passion flower, tryptophan, chamomile, all these different things. There are dozens of them, and there are a bunch of companies that reshuffle them like a Yahtzee game and just pick a different combination. Some have CBD also, some don't. And again, it may hit the nail on the head or it may do nothing. And there are very, very large margins of safety in these things too, where let's say you accidentally give your dog too many. You're not dosing a narcotic here. So it's not going to be something that's going to, give your dog a respiratory depression. You're going to kill them. You'd have to feed multiple jars of them to reach a toxicity. They're very safe to experiment with. And of course, always under the care of and advisory of your vet. So 3 categories: CBD, maybe, if I had to put that on its own, and then a lot of natural herbal ones. And then there are other ones that you can get right from your vet. I have found in some cases none of the over-the-counters are strong enough, and you need something like trazodone or gabapentin is used. I know a lot in the veterinary industry as an oral medication for dogs. And, whether you do it, whether it's mine or from the vet, whatever does or doesn't work for your dog, they're available in chewables. They're available in powders. They're available in liquids you can put right in their mouth, in their water. But it's a worthy experiment because I say better living through chemistry, right? Yeah. Why suffer? Why be stressed out?
Are they actually feeling pain from the noise, or is it a fright reaction?
It's mostly fright. I mean, if let's say a gun went off next to my ear, my ears would hurt at first, right? There's an impact from something like that. But mostly no. It's just it's a fear. Trembling. I guess in an extreme case, if they're shuddering and shivering and trembling, you can, have, that's a lot of muscle exhaustion that you would get from that. But, and it wipes dogs out sometimes. I had a dog that did that. She used to run away. Yeah. She used to run away. So
Rebecca
that's another
Martino,
thing. Watch your fences.
Yeah. Make sure your fences, because they will dash in any direction.
And a tag with your dog's name and phone number on it. Everybody go home today and make sure if there's a potential to run away, make sure they have a collar on with their name and their phone number for their home on it, please. It's so easy. Helps so much.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Rebecca. Appreciate it very much. Let's cover this subject again before the 4th, because
Bob, can I say one more quick question?
Yes.
It's more of a thank you. Thank you yesterday for mentioning my father-in-law, Andrew Martino. You mentioned him, and I said he was in the Battle of the Bulge, and he was my late father-in-law. And you read a text that we sent in yesterday, and I didn't tell my husband I was sending that text in, and he heard it yesterday. And he misses his dad very much.
Well, let's do a tribute to him. Let's get him part of one of our tributes, please.
Sounds good to me.
All right, thank you, Rebecca Martino, Stately Pet Supply, protecting our pets as we approach the 4th. Thank you. Bloomberg Money Minute, then we'll be back. Sound explosion, Murph tells us. They moved from number 17 to number 8 with their hit, A Little Bit of Soul. This date, 1967. If you notice, we play our songs a little longer coming out of the breaks. There's nothing worse than getting into a song or saying, boy, do I remember this song, and then the guy cuts it off. Music is an integral part of the show. We play it. Music history. And Murph does such a great job, we want to highlight it. All right, let's get one more call in before the top of the hour. Brad from Whitehaven. How are you, Brad?
I'm good. How are you?
Great.
Listen, I don't want to get distracted, but I do want to make a quick comment on you were speaking to that nice elderly lady in regards to the rain, and you made the comment, the weather is being manipulated. I don't know if you remember Art Bell in the middle of the night in talk radio and all the UFOs.
Oh, I remember the name. Sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's what you reminded me of, because it's called climate change. The weather is not being manipulated. But let me go into the big, beautiful bill, if I may.
Sure. Not a lot of time, so zip. Let's go.
Okay, so the big, beautiful, first off, Trump fails in terms of branding. BBB, that's going to be our credit rating. And you know it, because it's adding $3 trillion. You're going to throw at me, what about the tax increase that the Democrats aren't going to vote for? That tax increase was actually more than what the corporate roundtable asked for during Trump 1 term.
You mean
you know that.
The corporate tax reduction, you mean?
Exactly, and you know that.
Well, so what?
So the point being is that we don't have to go that deep on the tax cut. The point being is that
it worked. The economy was gangbusters. Whoa.
Okay.
The economy was gangbusters and low inflation after the Trump tax cut in his first term. It worked perfectly well, and revenues went up.
Our last conversation, we know what the Dow performance was. We know what the Dow performance was under Biden. We know what the economy was.
I don't care what those things are, because
of course not. They're facts.
I don't care what they are, and the reason is because they react to short-term stimulus, because we had a government stimulated economy, a false sugar high economy under Joe Biden. That's what we had.
Which is exactly, as you know, what Trump wants to do on this. It's a stimulated sugar high.
No, it gives money back to people. Yeah. There's a huge. You're missing, Brad. When people have the money, instead of government, it is infinitely better for the economy. It's not even a comparison.
You are semantically contradicting yourself. That's a good art to do. But,
I don't even understand what you're saying, but go.
What I'm saying is that he's doing a stimulus and a sugar high. This is the greatest shifting of wealth.
No, you're missing the point, and you apparently don't want to get it. Art, if people have the money, it's infinitely better for the economy than if the government spends the money. There's no comparison.
That's what the stimulus was that you just accused Biden of doing. Same thing.
What?
Same thing.
That's the same he's cutting taxes.
Biden of doing.
I'm not yelling. Brad, it's the exact opposite.
I'm not yelling. You don't need
Brad,
to really yell.
Brad, it's the exact opposite. Because you're making stuff up and saying stuff I didn't say.
I'm not making stuff. Listen, all you have to do is call Moody's or call any of the credit ratings. We've never been cautioned in this way before, and you know that. Shame on you.
Brad, you also understand. Brad, you understand. By the way, you don't want to understand, apparently. Apparently, you don't want to. We got to go to the news. But, Brad, you don't want to understand that the CBO projecting $2.4 trillion in additional debt for this country cannot, by the way, so I don't think it's a left-wing conspiracy, they cannot count improvement in the economy and growth in the economy when they assess the tax revenues. They can't do it.
It's fascinating how the Republicans embrace the CBO when the Democrats try to pass a budget, isn't it?
All right, Brad, what do you want to cut in spending? Tell me.
What do I want to cut in spending?
Yeah.
I want to tax billionaires.
What do you want to cut and spend? That's bullshit. What do you want to tax and spending?
That's not bullshit.
Yes, it is.
That's not bullshit.
Complete, utter nonsense. Tell me what you want to cut in spending.
Threshold on Social Security. People like Warren Buffett should not get a Social Security check. We should have an income
that's the
threshold.
Social Security fund. What general budget cuts do you want to make?
What general budget cuts I want to make? On defense. Let's do it right now on defense.
How much?
How much on defense? I'm willing to have this conversation on the next one. Could lay out all the percentages for you.
You're willing to have silence when you get asked an actual question, Brad. You
No,
don't
I'm
have
not-
any
I'm not going
answers.
to-
You
No.
can snipe from the edges. The tax bill that is in front of the Congress right now, it retains existing, which is exactly what the Democrat president and the Democrat House and the Democrat Senate allowed to continue. It retains existing tax rates. That's all it does. Anything else is a stone cold lie. Right? We got to go, my man. We're way over. Man, oh, man. They just make it up. They just make it up. It's frightening. But Brad, please call again. But you got to call when there's more time. You can't filibuster and run out of time. I'll give you all the time you want, but it's news time. We'll be back after that. Great good morning, everyone. 11:12 a.m. here in the great Northeast. This beautiful Tuesday, June 10, year of our Lord 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show, and I am he. And it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our man, John Basiliga, and his great companies, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like the veterans we've lost, but celebrate on this very day. Like George Carpenter, Glenburn, Jack Doyle, Moscow, Leda, Florida, Andy Sessa, Scranton, Joseph Tarowski, Waymart, Jerry Yoswiak, Plains Township, and Chuck Wagner, Bloomsburg. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you a sanctuary of sanity in a world where guys like Brad from Whitehaven will say the exact opposite of that which is true and expect us to swallow it. Well, not on this program. I remind you, this is not a safe harbor for stupidity. We will not suffer fools gladly. Not to say Brad is, but he certainly talks like one when he calls here. Bradley. So, this is what we hear. The exact opposite of that which is true. You want to, okay, the tax rates. They're the existing tax rates for 7 years. Revenue of the federal government never went down. There's the facts. I wish we had more time. I don't know if he calls by design or he was on hold for a while. I'm not going to blame him for this. I just couldn't take the call earlier. Medicaid spending is going up 7%. In what universe is that a cut? And we talk about all these areas that Doge found. We basically found out that $1 trillion a year is going to NGOs that are paying top salaries, nonprofits paying top salaries to all of the favored insiders, and that they are in turn are paying consultants and law firms. And very little of the money in many cases is getting to the ridiculous purposes stated in the budget. So as ridiculous as all these things are, the money's not even getting there. It's just an establishment extravaganza. And where do you get the money from? Overlooked by them, $2 trillion a year deficits. We're borrowing the money. There's no money there. But they don't want to cut money to drag time story hour. It's anywhere. Nothing can be cut. Everyone will die. Everyone will die. As of now, based on the cuts that haven't even happened yet, and which will never happen, there aren't any cuts in this budget. Millions of people have died. In fact, the entire population of the United States is dead. You just don't know it yet. Well, there's another massive waste. And on the blower with us now, Patrick Simmons. He's VP. And at the National Right to Work Gang. We've had them on before. We love them. And their point is actually, if Congress won't ban federal unions altogether, it can deal a significant blow to these groups by taking away the massive taxpayer subsidies that help fund their operations. And that's what Patrick is coming on to tell us about. Patrick Simmons, welcome to the Bob Cordaro Show. How are you?
I'm doing well, Bob. Great to join you on the Club for Common Sense.
Yes. Well, give us some common sense. I contend that these government unions should be out of business. They shouldn't exist. But short of that, there is a potential solution. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, you're right. I mean, government unions, it's a huge problem. The idea that government union bosses get to negotiate over public policy, over how tax dollars are spent, and then, of course, funnel all their money that they collect in dues, a lot of it illegally, into getting their pals elected. But one of the extra outrages on top of that is that taxpayers are paying union officials to do union business. And it's a massive deal. In 2019, the last time that they tracked it, they found that 2.6 million hours were spent where taxpayers were paying people who were supposedly government employees, but instead of doing government work, they were working for unions. And the unions were doing all sorts of things to block stuff they didn't like. You know, of course, any reforms that threaten their pocketbooks or their political power. They put up roadblocks to, and the only reason we know that in 2019 is that's the last year they calculated it. Of course, President Biden got in. The very first thing he did is say, "Hey, I don't want to count that anymore. We're going to stop tracking." So it's almost certainly a lot more right now.
Amazing, and so essentially, the budget of the United States of America running $2 trillion deficit is nothing but a protection racket for the favored few.
Absolutely. I mean, this is and they're doing all sorts of things. They're lobbying on this time, so they're being paid, supposed to be working for the American people, the taxpayers, and they're being paid to go lobby Congress. There was recently a hearing on this on the House side, and it came up that Jasmine Crockett, who's a far left radical congresswoman from Texas, she said, "Well, I think that electing people like me is good agency business, and we should be subsidizing this." So I mean, that's the position of a lot of the big labor Democrats in Congress. But one of the interesting things here is if there are bills that would end this practice, and obviously this should be ended, and there should be even more fundamental reforms about the power that government union bosses have over our democracy. But one of the things that could happen in the reconciliation bill, which has the lower threshold in the Senate, so it doesn't need to get past the Senate filibuster, it could be passed with a simple majority in the Senate, is requiring union officials to pay back all the money that they're spending on this official time practice. So if they want to spend hours instead of doing taxpayer business working for the union, they would owe that back to the taxpayers. And instead of getting free office space in government buildings, they would have to pay rent back to the taxpayers. And of course, because that is a revenue item, that would qualify for reconciliation. And so that would be a really good way to at least start tackling this huge boondoggle that is government union official time.
We're talking to Patrick Simmons. He's the VP at the National Right to Work. Tell us, is there any prospect for this happening? There's obviously some support, but is there enough?
Yeah, we're going to see. There's definitely some support. Joni Ernst has championed this in the Senate. Scott Perry introduced this bill. It's called the Protecting Taxpayers' Wallets Act. That's a standalone bill. It could be as an amendment to reconciliation. I'm sure, Bob, you've been following it closer than I have. There's a lot of back and forth, what's going to be in, what's going to be out. A lot of this is up for debate right now. But this seems like just plain common sense.
Yeah.
And so if people, they can go to the National Right to Work Committee website, nrtwc.org. They can find out a little more about it there. They can contact their senators right now and say, hey, put this in reconciliation. My tax dollars should not be funding radical left-wing union boss activities. And that's again, just common sense. And it's a first reform, but it's a really badly needed one.
It would be huge. It would change completely the way business is done in Washington, D.C., and throughout the federal government.
Yeah, lobbying, with taxpayer dollars that's everyone should agree that's just wrong, and yet that's what's happening here. These are government union officials using their privileged position of power to, they protect bad employees, they hold back the good ones. They have all these wasteful rules. If you want to change, anything, you want to put people back in the office. You have to negotiate with that. You can't just do that by yourself. This is waste. This is just the kind of thing that taxpayers should never be forced to pay for. If unions are going to exist, they should be taking money only from voluntary union members. And if they can't convince members to spend their money on these activities, then they shouldn't be able to go say, hey, that's okay, we'll get the taxpayers to pay for it. They should reevaluate what they're doing and whether it's actually worthwhile at all.
The original oligarchs, the union heads for the government unions. Patrick Simmons, tell me, you and the National Right to Work Committee had, substantial trepidation about the Secretary of Labor appointed by Donald Trump. How are you feeling about it 4 months in, 5 months in?
Well, to be honest, we haven't seen a whole lot from her yet. She's kind of been doing the tour around the country, talking to people, saying, hey, we want to stand up for all workers. And if that means, not favoring union officials over regular rank-and-file workers, we think that's a good thing. In terms of policy, it's kind of it's a wait-and-see approach right now. She certainly, as you know, she had sponsored some bills, including the PRO Act, which would do all sorts of terrible things back when she was in Congress. She's come and she got confirmed, and her pitch was, hey, I'm here to represent Donald Trump, not necessarily what she did before. And so we're hopeful that that's going to happen. She certainly in her hearings backed off her support for the part of the PRO Act that would wipe out every right to work state in the country by federal fiat, which would mean billions of dollars more in forced union dues across the country. So that's good. And now we're waiting to see some of that play out. But there's a lot going on. We're waiting on labor nominations for the National Labor Relations Board as well. That's going to be a big fight and a big opportunity.
Yep.
The Biden NLRB was horrible, the most radical we've ever seen, trying to rewrite decades and decades of long-established precedent. And there's a lot of work to do in there, and we're hoping for some great appointees and go in there and really clean house.
Patrick Simmons, Vice President, National Right to Work Committee, thank you so much for being with us. We look forward to talking to you again, and you could update us on whether any of this happened. I certainly wish it could under reconciliation. That'd be a great step forward.
That would be great. It's great to join with you, Bob. Thanks.
Thank you very much. We'll take a break. We want to hear from our great sponsors, Bob Cordaro, on his eponymous program. We'll be back. I wonder if it's a lab-grown diamond they're talking about. Gary Lewis and the Playboys. This day, 1969, they performed the hit Diamond Ring on The Tonight Show. Of course, James Earl Ray escaped on June 10th, 1977, recaptured June 13th. Man, if he's the only guy that killed Martin Luther King, they should have tortured him or something. He snuffed out one of the great leaders of our time for no good reason. Sad stuff. Hey, let's go to Andrew in Jersey. Andrew, we got about a minute, my man. Fire away.
You're right. Just quick on Brad, Reagan, Clinton, Kennedy. Taxes were lowered dramatically under Reagan. It more than doubled the revenue coming in.
Yep.
Coming in, Clinton lowered capital gains, more capital gains. But I want to say with the protesters, they are pointing out that this is stolen land in Southern California, that area. But actually,
they're still on that act.
But they're saying like Mexico, but they don't realize Spanish is in Spain, is in Europe, so they don't understand that like the Spaniards came first and took the land.
Well, and Andrew, also, if they want to come and pay my real estate taxes and utilities, they may be welcome to the property.
Right, and even the
Lord.
so-called indigenous, they migrated from Asia, and some say, well, they don't see their heritage going back, but that's where it came from. And lastly, Dinesh D'Souza in his film America, he confronted the tribeswoman that wanted the land where Mount Rushmore is back, and she said, well, it was stolen from, whoever, the Apaches. And he said, okay, but the Apaches stole it from the Iroquois, so are you going to then give it back to the Iroquois?
Listen, the first time the left makes sense or the next time the left makes sense will be the first time. But very good points, Andrew. Appreciate it, my man. All right, we've got to go to hear from our great sponsors, and then we're going to come back. We've got a Veterans Tribute. We've got the weather, and then we have you at 570-883-0098. We'll be back. our veterans this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Brought to you by a great patriot, John Basiliga, and his suite of companies, including Serenity Care. 4 facilities in the Mid-Valley, Old Forge, Wyoming, and Kingston. Totally reimagined inside and out. Cleanest, brightest, best facilities you'll find in Northeast Pennsylvania for our seniors, whether it's you or a family member. 2 dementia units in their Kingston and Mid-Valley locations. Serenity Care, the place to go for senior care. Jerry Yazwiak, he died April 26. He was only 65. He was from Plains Township. Lifelong resident of Plains Township. He attended Bishop Hoban High School, class of 77. He played football and baseball there. His work ethic was well known because he began with a paper route and farming locally in Plains as a kid. After high school, he enlisted in the United States Air Force, rose to the rank of sergeant. He was an avionics communication and navigation specialist. He served us in Upper Peninsula, Michigan, Keflavik, Iceland, Nellis Air Force Base, Nevada, Cold Lake, Canada, Panama City, Florida. He went to Penn State and then Misericordia, and for 41 years worked as a communication engineer, most recently as manager of Frontier Communications, Central Office Engineering. Survived by his wife of 38 years, Susan. 3 children, a grandson. And he proudly served as Plains Township Commissioner for the past 16 years. He was the chairman at his passing. Jerry Yazwiak. Chuck Wagner, sales rep, active in town park improvement. He was 74 from Bloomsburg. We lost him April 19th. Born in Berwick, 1968 graduate of Berwick High School. 1976 graduate of the former Bloomsburg State College. Employed as a sales representative for Marchon Inc., an optical company. He was very active in the Bloomsburg Town Park Improvement Association. President for a number of years. Proudly served us in the U.S. Army during the Vietnam War. Preceded in death by his stepdaughter, Beth Rodriguez, but survived by his wife, the former Susan Fox, with whom he observed their 15th anniversary last October. Also surviving 2 daughters, a stepdaughter, a stepson, 10 grandchildren, 4 great-grandchildren, 3 sisters and other family members. Chuck Wagner, our great veterans today. Sponsored and brought to you by Serenity Care and our man, John Basiliga. Storm Tracker 16 forecast meteorologist Joe Snedeker. He says the rain is mostly ending, although there's a chance of a passing shower this afternoon, even amidst the sunshine. 78 degrees. Tonight, partly cloudy and cooler, low 58. Wednesday, sunny, high near 80. Enjoy it while it lasts. Thursday, sunny, high 83. Enjoy it while it lasts. I don't mind weather, but rain. In fact, I love rain. But I think about the people who are in low-lying areas. Our friend Barbara from Courtdale pointing out, this is the kind of conditions we faced prior to the Agnes flood. A month and a half rain. Somebody pointed out in 2011, they said this is weather. I forget what they said because it's so far back in my text, but it was a good text. They said this is basically weather hysteria. We talk about it so much. We report on it so much, but we've had this before. I got to tell you, I don't remember it, but I'm not disagreeing with you. Anyway, well, the things I don't pay attention to, I can fill volumes. So I can't disagree. Let's go to Donald from Pittston. Donald, how are you?
Oh, great.
Wait, Donald, you got to wait for your theme song. I want to come over.
Oh, I got you. Now, listen, no, you're right. He's wrong. That man was never in business, Brad, whatever that guy was talking about. Just look at it this way. If the government's the house or a casino, if they take, you got to give it the taxpayers or the players. If the government takes all the money, there's no money for the players. The card game falls. The casino, they tried that with the racetracks. Como, the first one. He said, I'll take more of a cut. And they were leaving doing the other racetracks down south that he was taking 25%, like Belmont, and they were going down. They stopped doing it. They went down to the southern state racetracks or bet them, or in other states where we're 17% because they're getting more bang for their buck. That guy didn't know what he was talking about. You can see that guy was never owned a business in his lifetime, and he probably didn't read the bill. Because the bill takes, I just Googled yesterday, $83 billion for disabled veterans and wounded warriors. It takes it off of the drug dealers, rapists, murderers, and illegal aliens bleeding the system that Gavin Newsom's giving it to, and it gives it to our veterans and wounded warriors with no arms and legs, and that's a good thing.
I don't like the big, beautiful bill, but I will tell you this, because it doesn't cut nearly enough. But I will tell you this: I think it's going to have surprisingly positive consequences for the economy and the size of government. I really do.
Well, you have to make money. You have to spend money to make money too. You know, I think he's doing better than they would do with their bill because they'll blow up the deficit. Obviously, you know, you're going to have some kind of spending. The only one that I look back in history that didn't really spend was the first Bush, and he had a horrible economy. He didn't believe in government spending, but we were going into a recession, and he didn't really prop it up too much. So and he had a hard time. He didn't get reelected. And then the spending, you have to spend to make money. That's all I'm saying. I don't like it, but sometimes you have to do that.
Well, there's nothing you can do about a certain level of spending in one fell swoop. You can't do it. Literally, there's not the votes aren't there, and practically speaking, it would be a major disruption. Yeah, by the way, I want the major disruption by cutting the federal government by 50%. But that doesn't mean it's good for everybody. In fact, it would be a disruption.
Yeah, right. They're just saying they're making these cuts with Medicaid, but it's only somebody that puts them to work. It's the requirement's only up to 55 years old. After that, you're okay if you just have to work and maybe do some public service or something.
Well, and even amidst the claimed cuts to Medicaid, the spending on Medicaid and Medicare goes up 7% in the bill.
It does, exactly. I don't see anybody. They say they make stories on the other side. But what we're going to do here, you got to just keep this border closed. That's what it's all about.
Yes.
Once you control that border, you don't have all these people coming over. They don't realize when you bring those people over here. I have a heart like you. I feel sorry for them, but we can't afford it. We just can't because then it takes from the people that really need these benefits, our veterans and seniors, and you're diluting the system. You're giving them everything for free.
And by the way, Donald, I never hear any of the left, any of the Democrat Party say, hey, we should do legal immigration at a much higher level. What's wrong with that as a proposal? I don't get it. They literally want illegal immigration. They want it. They crave it. They love it. I don't get it. I don't get it.
We're doing 1.7 million now. I looked at the numbers. We can't do more than that. What do you want to do? 10, 20 million? They'll be sleeping in the streets. It's just ridiculous.
I know.
They have they're just out of touch with everybody. You know what? All they want to do is complain because they have nothing. They have no agenda. When you have nothing, all you want to do is attack Trump and complain and talk about these cuts that. I don't see people calling up about the cuts. If they did, they would. Don't you think so?
Yep. Well, I mean, with all the people that are going to die, actually, we're already dead from the cuts in the big, beautiful bill. We just don't know it. We've already passed away, Donald.
I hear you. It'll work out. You got to get something on the table, though. You know?
Amen. Thank you, Donald.
Thank you very much.
See, you're the only guy with two theme songs, you know. Well, no, you and Lorraine from Hazleton. Yes.
Ooh, let the dogs out! Ooh, let the dogs out! That's for you.
All right, man. Have a good one. Thanks, Donald. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We will return. Edwin Starr, Murph says this date, 1970. He released his hit War to radio stations and radio station producers like the Bulldog, such as the Bulldog. Bulldog, does anybody pay you to play their music these days? It is illegal, you know. It's called payola. So don't take any money. All right. Babylon Bee. It says, here's a few of the stories in the Babylon Bee this week. Illegals help film Republican presidential campaign commercial. And then it says, Trump responds to mostly peaceful protest with mostly peaceful military. Another Mexican rioter adds lime wedge to Molotov cocktail. And another story, support for police skyrockets after they start shooting journalists. The Babylon Bee, great stuff, always, really funny. But speaking of something that's very serious on most days, what is it, Bulldog? Play the theme song. You know she won't come on without it. Well, it's Lorraine from Hazleton. How are you, Lorraine?
Hanging in. How are you?
I'm great.
Yeah.
I'm even better now that I'm talking to you.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. If you have a good poem, I'll be better. If you don't, well, I'll stay the same.
Come on now. You always say they're good. And I don't need you to tell me. I know it. I already know it before I start.
All right. Very good. I'm not disagreeing with you yet.
I know. I have probably read it before, but that's okay. It's called Wishing and Hoping. As I sit here and write this poem, I think about the days gone by. Many memories bring a smile to my face. Then there are those times that simply make me cry. This is wishful thinking on my part about which years I would like to relive. Oh, how I yearn for those precious moments that only God alone could give. But he did grant many miracles to me, which I was very grateful to receive from him. There were those days that the sun shined brighter, even when I thought my life grew dim. My road ahead may have more twists and turns that our dear Lord only knows. I pray that I can handle them all and that my trust in him only grows and grows.
Nice. I like that. I don't know if I've heard that before, but I thought I did, and then parts of it are new to me, so that's a good poem. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, thanks. But so you're lucky I called back. I tried a couple times, but oh well.
Well, we've been jammed on the phones today, but yeah, we wanted to make sure we get you back.
Now you jam me back in.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, Lorraine, thank you, my dear. We appreciate it.
Okay, Fuzzy Wuzzy. I know I have to get that in.
Mark Mayer insists on it.
Oh, okay. Well, I take payola. No, I'm only kidding. I better shut up.
Lorraine from Hazleton, we love you, darling. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right. Maynard from Kingston on the rain tax. And may I mention that before, Maynard, you start talking, Lehman does not pay the rain tax. Go ahead, though. Maynard, you're with us. Fire away.
Yes, Rob, are you there?
Yes.
Yes, this one called before, and the reason they have the rain tax in Luzerne County is people that can't get, work at the courthouse and do other jobs, the relatives that are half-touched, they get them a job down at sanitary authority. So that's why they need that rain tax for. The ones that are inbred.
You may just be right. You may just be right. But that's a federal tax, right?
No, I'm not in Luzerne County. It'll find its way into the coffers somehow. Just like water running down the mountain, Robert. It's going to find its way into the coffers or something. Somebody will get it in his pocket. Somebody's pockets are filled.
Well,
maybe they're paying insurance for those people that work down there. They don't know when they're going to flip out.
As long as when I was involved with Dunmore Borough, I said, well, as long as I know who is taking the money they shouldn't have, I feel much better.
Yeah, you're right. Must be the Invisible Man getting it.
Well, I appreciate it, Maynard. Thank you, my man.
And one last thing, Robert, that Brad that called up, he should go back wherever he came from.
No, we like him, but he's makes it up. These people go to the left wing talking points and just regurgitate them as if we're not paying attention.
He called yesterday about what's going on in Los Angeles. Well, if he likes it so much, you should go back there.
Yeah, let's let the rioters and the looters loose. Why not? Let's try 2020 again. Thank you, Maynard.
You're right.
Appreciate it. Bloomberg Money Minute, and then we'll be back to wrap things up. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. We're going to finish with Ray Charles, America the Beautiful, 1972. Because on this date, 2004, Murph tells us, Ray Charles died of acute liver disease at the age of 79 in Beverly Hills, California. And what an appropriate song to thank our veterans. One more time, thanks to John Basiliga. George Carpenter, Glenn Byrne, Jack Doyle, Moscow, Leda, Florida, Andy Sessa, Scranton, Joseph Tarowski, Waymart, Jerry Yazwiak, Plains Township. Chuck Wagner, Bloomsburg. Thank you to one and all of their surviving families. Well, great day as always being with you guys. I hope it was the same on your end. Sue Henry Show next. Rob O'Donnell Show follows that. For now, I'm going to get out of the way of Ray Charles and let him finish it up. One of the greatest renditions of America the Beautiful ever. Let Ray sing on. Tell you, have a great afternoon, because for now, we are gaveling to a close this meeting of the Club for Common Sense. Have a great afternoon.